Have you ever felt a subtle disconnect, a nagging sense that the world you experience daily isn't quite real? As if you're watching a play and the actors, the props, even your own role are just parts of an elaborate show. This feeling that there's a deeper truth hidden just beyond your grasp is an ancient human intuition, one that a great philosopher explored thousands of years ago. We chase ambitions, gather possessions, and follow scripts laid out by society, often without questioning their origin or their ultimate value. But what if this reality we're so invested in is, in some fundamental way, a carefully constructed illusion? What if the things we strive for are mere reflections of something far more substantial, something truly real? This profound inquiry into the nature of reality versus illusion was a cornerstone for the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. A student of Socrates and a teacher to Aristotle, Plato's ideas have rippled through centuries, challenging us to look beyond the surface. He proposed that what we perceive with our senses might not be the ultimate truth, but a mere shadow of it. To illustrate this, Plato gifted us one of the most powerful metaphors in Western philosophy, the allegory of the cave. Imagine prisoners, chained since birth in a deep, dark cavern facing a blank wall. They have never seen the outside world, never known sunlight. Their entire reality is confined to this subterranean existence. Behind these prisoners, unbeknownst to them, a fire burns, and between the fire and the prisoners, there is a raised walkway. Along this walkway, puppeteers parade various objects, statues of animals, people, and all sorts of things. The fire casts the shadows of these objects onto the wall in front of the prisoners. For the prisoners, these flickering shadows are reality. They have never known anything else. The echoes of the puppeteers' voices, bouncing off the cave walls, seem to them to be the voices of the shadows themselves. They name the shadows, discuss their movements, and even award prizes to those who are quickest to identify them. Their conversations, their knowledge, their entire system of understanding is built around this shadow play. It's a complete, albeit limited, world. They believe these two-dimensional projections to be the true forms of things, the very essence of existence. They have no concept of a world beyond these dancing silhouettes. Now, Plato asks us to imagine what would happen if one of these prisoners were suddenly freed. If they were unchained and forced to turn around, to look towards the fire and the objects that cast the shadows. The light of the fire would be painful to eyes accustomed only to darkness. The prisoner would be confused, disoriented. The actual objects, the three-dimensional statues, would seem less real than the familiar shadows. If someone tried to explain that these objects were more real than the shadows, the prisoner would likely resist, finding the shadows clearer and more comprehensible. Imagine then this prisoner being dragged, against their will, up the steep, rugged ascent out of the cave and into the sunlight of the upper world. The journey itself would be agonizing, and the brilliance of the sun would be utterly blinding. They would be unable to see anything at first. Gradually, their eyes would adjust. First, they might be able to see only shadows in this new world, then reflections in water. Then the objects themselves, the trees, the animals, the people, in their true form. And finally, they would be able to look upon the sun itself, the source of all light and life. This sun, for Plato, represents the form of the good, the ultimate truth, the source of all reality and understanding. Seeing it, the prisoner would realize that the shadows in the cave were mere imitations, twice removed from the true essence of things. Their entire former reality would be revealed as an illusion. The prisoner would then understand that the fire in the cave was but a pale imitation of this sun, and the objects paraded by the puppeteers were themselves just copies of the true objects existing in the sunlit world. A profound shift in perception would occur, a realization of the real world. Plato suggests that this enlightened individual would feel pity for their fellow prisoners still trapped in the cave, mistaking shadows for reality. They would no longer value the honors and praises bestowed in the cave for being good at deciphering shadows. Such pursuits would seem trivial. And what if this person chose to return to the cave, to try and free the others, to tell them of the real world outside? Their eyes, now accustomed to sunlight, would struggle to see in the darkness. They would appear clumsy, unable to discern the shadows as clearly as before. The other prisoners would likely mock them, saying that their journey outside had ruined their eyesight and their mind. They would resist any attempt to be unchained and let out, perhaps even violently. Why would they trade their familiar, comprehensible reality for a painful, blinding unknown? This powerful allegory isn't just an ancient story. Plato intended it as a metaphor for our own human condition. He believed that most of us live like the prisoners in the cave, mistaking the world perceived through our senses, our fake reality, for the ultimate truth. The shadows on the wall in our modern world can take many forms. They might be the superficial values peddled by media, the curated images on social platforms, the fleeting trends of popular opinion, or the unquestioned dogmas of our culture. They are the appearances we often mistake for substance. The puppeteers could be various forces: societal pressures, marketing, political rhetoric, even our own ingrained biases and habits of thought that shape our perception of what is real, important, or desirable, often without our conscious awareness. Plato called the true, sunlit world the realm of forms or ideas. He believed that for everything that exists in our physical world, a tree, a chair, justice, beauty, there is a perfect, eternal, unchanging form or blueprint in this higher realm. The physical objects we see and touch are merely imperfect copies or shadows of these perfect forms. Just as a drawing of a circle is never perfectly round, any physical manifestation of beauty or justice is just an approximation of the true form of beauty or justice. According to Plato, genuine knowledge is not about understanding the shadows, the physical world, but about apprehending these eternal forms. This cannot be done through the senses alone, which are unreliable and deal only with appearances. It requires the use of reason and philosophical contemplation. The journey out of the cave, then, is the journey of the soul aspiring towards this higher understanding. It is the process of philosophical education, of learning to see beyond the immediate and the superficial, to grasp the underlying principles and truths that govern existence. This ascent is not easy. It requires intellectual effort, courage to question deeply ingrained beliefs, and a willingness to endure the discomfort of leaving familiar shadows behind. It's a turning away from the fake reality towards the real. So how does this ancient allegory apply to you today? Are there caves in your own life? Are there shadows you might be mistaking for reality? Consider the beliefs you hold about success, happiness, or your own identity. Where did these beliefs come from? Think about the constant stream of information and entertainment we consume. How much of it encourages deep reflection, and how much simply reinforces the shadow play, fleeting trends, superficial dramas, and manufactured desires? Are we passively watching or actively seeking? The allure of the fake reality is its comfort and familiarity. It requires little effort to accept the shadows. The path to the real world of deeper understanding, however, demands that we become critical thinkers, questioning what is presented to us. One way to start leaving the cave is to cultivate intellectual curiosity. Don't just accept information, investigate it. Ask why, seek out diverse perspectives, especially those that challenge your own. Engage in thoughtful dialogue not just to win but to understand. Plato believed that philosophy, the love of wisdom, is the key to making this ascent. It's not just an academic subject, but a way of life dedicated to questioning, reasoning, and seeking the timeless truths that lie beyond mere appearances. Consider the things you value. Are they based on genuine intrinsic worth like kindness, wisdom, justice, reflections of the forms, or on superficial external validation like popularity, wealth for its own sake, fleeting pleasures, the shadows? The fake reality, often promises quick fixes and instant gratification. The pursuit of the real world of forms is a slower, more deliberate journey. It requires patience and persistence, like slowly adjusting your eyes to a brilliant light. This doesn't mean we should reject the physical world entirely. Plato wasn't advocating for us to become hermits. Rather, he urged us to understand its true nature, a reflection, a stepping stone, not the ultimate destination. We live in it, but we look beyond it. Our fake reality is often built on emotions, opinions, and unexamined assumptions. The path to the real involves engaging our intellect, our capacity for reason, to discern patterns, principles, and the underlying order of things. When you encounter beauty in the world, in art, in nature, in a person, Plato would say you are seeing a glimpse, a reflection of the perfect form of beauty. This recognition can be a doorway, prompting you to look deeper, beyond the specific instance. Similarly, when you strive for justice or act with courage, you are attempting to embody the forms of justice and courage. The more you understand these forms through reason, the more authentically you can manifest them in your actions. The challenge, like that of the returned prisoner, is that speaking of these deeper realities to those still captivated by the shadows can be difficult. People are often comfortable in their familiar illusions, but the pursuit of truth has its own intrinsic rewards. Living in accordance with this deeper understanding brings a sense of purpose and authenticity that the fake reality of shadows can never offer. It's a shift from being a passive spectator of illusions to an active participant in the pursuit of what is genuinely real and good. One practical step: regularly take time for quiet reflection, away from the noise and distractions of the cave. Contemplate your values, your beliefs, and the sources of your information. Journaling or meditation can be powerful tools for this. Engage with works of art, literature, and philosophy that challenge you to think deeply, that offer glimpses beyond the mundane. These can be like echoes of the sunlit world, guiding your ascent. Be mindful of the echoes in your own cave. Whose voices are you hearing? Are they voices of wisdom and truth, or merely the amplified opinions of the puppeteers, designed to keep you fixated on the shadows? Cultivate discernment. The journey from the fake reality to the real world is not about achieving a perfect, static state of enlightenment. It's an ongoing process of turning towards the light, of continually refining our understanding, of living more consciously. It's about choosing substance over surface, meaning over fleeting amusement, and truth, however challenging, over comfortable illusion. This choice made daily is what gradually leads us out of our personal caves. The real world Plato speaks of is not some distant, inaccessible heaven, but a dimension of understanding that is always present, underlying the world of appearances. It is accessed through the mind, through reason, through the soul's yearning for truth. So the core message from Plato is not one of despair about our fake reality, but one of hope and empowerment. We have the capacity to see beyond the shadows, to strive for genuine knowledge, and to live lives aligned with deeper, eternal truths. This journey requires courage. The courage to admit that what we thought was real might not be, the courage to face the dazzling light of truth, and the courage to live differently, even if others remain content in the shadows. Notice when you're merely reacting to the shadows, the dramas, the outrages, the fleeting opinions that dominate much of our public discourse. Pause and ask, what is truly at stake here? What are the underlying principles? The fake reality often keeps us busy with trivialities, distracting us from the more profound questions of existence. Plato's Allegory is a call to prioritize the pursuit of wisdom, to make time for the contemplation that nourishes the soul. Every time you choose to learn something deeply, to question an assumption, to act with integrity even when it's difficult, you are taking a step out of the cave. You are strengthening your eyes to perceive more of the real. The freedom offered by this perspective is immense. It's freedom from the tyranny of popular opinion, freedom from the fear of missing out on superficialities, and freedom to define your own life according to deeper, more meaningful values. Plato's forms are not just abstract concepts. They are the very essence of what makes things intelligible and valuable. The form of the good, like the sun, illuminates all other forms, making true knowledge and virtuous action possible. When you recognize an act of true kindness, you are seeing a reflection of the form of goodness. When you appreciate a perfectly crafted argument, you touch upon the form of truth. These moments are signposts, pointing beyond the cave. The fake reality is often loud, chaotic, and demanding of your attention. The real world of forms is quiet, eternal, and invites contemplation. Learning to distinguish these energies is a key part of the journey. Don't be discouraged if the path feels difficult or if others don't understand your seeking. Remember the returned prisoner. The journey towards truth is often a solitary one at times, but it is never a lonely one, for you are accompanied by the greatest minds and deepest truths of history. The shadows can be very convincing. They are, after all, what we are accustomed to. It takes consistent effort and a clear intention to keep turning our gaze towards the light, towards the possibility of a deeper, more authentic reality. Our education systems, our media, even our social structures can inadvertently act as cave walls, reinforcing certain illusions. The Platonic challenge is to become a discerning student of life, always questioning, always seeking the underlying forms. The fake reality often breeds anxiety and dissatisfaction as we chase shadows that can never truly fulfill us. The pursuit of the real, of virtue and wisdom, offers a more stable and enduring foundation for well-being. Consider your daily habits. Do they chain you further to the cave wall, or do they help you strengthen your limbs for the ascent? Small, conscious choices accumulate to create a trajectory towards or away from the light. The goal is not to escape the world, but to understand it and our place within it more deeply, to see the reflections for what they are, and to orient our lives towards the true sources of light, goodness, and reality. Plato's Allegory is ultimately a story of liberation from ignorance, from illusion, and from a life lived at the mercy of fleeting appearances. It's an invitation to the most profound adventure, the discovery of what is truly real. This pursuit of the real transforms not only our understanding, but also our character. As we contemplate the forms of justice, beauty, and goodness, we are inspired to embody them more fully in our own lives. Philosophy becomes a path to virtue. The fake reality can feel overwhelming, a constant barrage of stimuli. Finding moments to connect with the timeless through nature, art, deep thought, or quiet contemplation is like finding fresh air for the soul, a reminder of the sunlit world. Every time you choose authenticity over pretense, depth over superficiality, or principled action over convenience, you are living outside the cave, even if just for a moment. These moments accumulate, building a life of greater substance. The journey Plato describes is not for an elite few. It is the inherent calling of every human soul to seek truth, to understand reality, and to live a life that reflects the highest and best of which we are capable. It is our shared human quest. The power of Plato's allegory lies in its timeless relevance. The specifics of our caves and shadows may change with each era, but the fundamental human challenge of discerning reality from illusion remains ever present. So ask yourself, what shadows am I currently mistaking for reality? What chains of unquestioned belief hold me in place? And what small step can I take today to turn towards the light, towards a more authentic understanding? This is not about finding definitive answers to all of life's mysteries, but about embracing the process of seeking, of questioning, of striving for clarity. The very act of this striving is what elevates and ennobles the human spirit. The distinction between the real world and your fake reality is not always a comfortable one to confront. But within that confrontation lies the potential for profound transformation, for a life lived with greater awareness, purpose, and connection to what truly matters. Remember Plato's promise. Beyond the flickering illusions of our everyday perception, there exists a realm of perfect, unchanging truth and goodness. The journey towards it is the most worthwhile adventure any of us can undertake. May you have the courage to question your cave, the strength to endure the ascent, and the wisdom to recognize the true sun when you see it. The real world awaits those who dare to seek it. The journey out of the cave is not a one-time event, but a continuous turning of the soul towards the light. Each day offers a new opportunity to choose the real over the fake, substance over shadow, and truth over illusion.